You're listening to the AfterBuzz TV Network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Keith. Johnson.
From the AfterBuzz Studios in Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies.
This is AfterBuzz TV's The Americans After Show.
We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show.
It's AfterBuzz TV's The Americans After Show.
Welcome to the Americans AfterBuzz After Show. Did we pick a song? We didn't do a song. Wait, what's this? What's going on there, Phil? Uh-oh. Okay.
You got to get into it.
All right. No. I have no idea what this is. It feels like...
It's slow Russian propaganda buildup.
Oh, I see.
I was going to say, it sounds a little bit like communism.
Oh. There it is. I thought it was Dancing with Myself, Billy Idol. Welcome to the Americans AfterBuzz After Show. Phil is playing some wonderful Russian propaganda music from the 80s.
I thought it was Walk Like an Egyptian.
we were both close. I'm Joe Braswell. I'm joined, as always, by the lovely Jenifer Golden.
Hello, people.
JTJ. I'm not joined by Joe Sanfilippo, who is not with us. And, that guy.
That guy.
Well, we love him. But, yeah, we do have an episode tonight. We had a wonderful sort of like very plotting, slow burn of an episode. Not much gunplay.
Not a lot of sex.
No karate. No sex. I think they filled their season quota with sex last week.
You know what? This episode tonight was like quite the opposite of last week's episode.
Right.
It was informational,
yes.
Informative. It was slower.
Well,
there was no sex. There was no violence. Really.
They talk about all the
Actually,
time.
the violence was off screen. We just heard
Yes.
about it after.
Showrunners talk about all the time how, sometimes look, it's the budget's to the budgets to save money in some episodes. We'll have some that are just a lot of talking, a lot of exposition. This was that. I mean, we had two big first we had a long lie detector, beat the lie detector sequence.
Yes.
Then we had a long actual lie detector sequence.
Oh, yes.
Then we had a very long explanation of the Arpanet, which
yes.
we had a full tutorial on the Arpanet, which I loved. We had, that's pretty much it. We didn't get to
There was a lot of lyric.
Well, a nice lyric, slimy lyric.
Slimy lyric explanations about Lyric's involvement with Nicaragua and that whole thing.
And the Contra and what's happening there. It was, we keep hearing how dangerous Lyric is. He's so dangerous.
I haven't seen him do a damn thing.
I feel like that's got to be coming because even Kate the handler, the new Claudia, again, he's dangerous for you and your family. Sorry.
Right.
But, which I miss Claudia. Now I miss her.
I will say that I don't miss her because I never trusted her, and it made me a little bit uncomfortable every time she was in the scene. Kate, however, I do trust, and then I'm annoyed with the way Philip talks to her.
Well, yeah, it's a different thing. He has no respect for her whatsoever.
No.
Like every word out of his mouth is like, it's filled with contempt. It's like you're dressed like something out of a spy movie. Like you look like a spy in a movie. He made fun of her. Like, oh, you're spying now with your little shawl and your scarf.
She's like, it's gonna snow. Yeah, my friend.
And he's like, I don't know much about technology. He's like, obviously not.
He's just like, cut the girl a break. She's obviously in the position for a reason. Somebody trusted her to be that.
He's being a dick. And then he gave her that famous and she gave him really what felt sincere, Claudia-esque, like, I'm really sorry, you have to work with Lyric. And she's like, he's like, I know, it's not up to you, it's not your decision, now beat it. He was just very rude, but what do you do? He really does not like her.
I feel like he doesn't like anything right now, if we're going to be honest.
Well, we're seeing we're seeing Philip I don't say he's cracking, but.
He's rebelling, he's pushing back a little bit, he seems a little resentful.
Well, I think all of this is taking its toll, right? I mean,
right, which is what we talked about last week.
Right, and we saw this in the old Philip that we saw in the pilot, who was very much like, I'm out of here, let's defect, F it. And then he came back around,
right.
But, that
like he was into like the American trends and culture and stuff and music and sports and
just like Oleg.
Yeah.
Oleg knows about the Negro churches. He knows about Marvin Gaye. And,
There's Aretha Franklin. He's like, Aretha. There's always a parallel. And right now it seems like Oleg is the parallel to Philip versus Stan, who sometimes seems the parallel to Philip.
Yes, I agree. Well, let's start with the last. So the main mission this week is the center tells through Kate tells Philip that they want him to go after this thing, the Arpanet. The Arpanet is real. It's the Advanced Research Project Agency Network, sort of precursor to what we now know as the internet, and it's kind of cool in a weird, nerdy, techie way to see the sort of the birth of this, and just to see in that sequence where he finally got in with that meeting with the guy and explaining what the Arpanet is into what us in 2014 sounds like duh, you know?
Right, it's the internet, dude.
And just Philip cannot conceptualize it. He's like, you know,
X's and O's.
Space, like where? Highway to where?
It goes into the future.
I gotta understand, like, virtual space? Like, what is that? Like, what are you talking about? It's really funny to think about. It's hard to remember a time when all of these things that we have now and take for granted didn't exist. So I could only imagine what that conversation was like to people, especially in that. Now, especially in the advance, that's the early days, right?
I will say my memory of the internet goes back to AOL and when it was dial-up and the little guy ran across the screen.
Welcome.
Exactly.
Yes.
And then they made a movie about it. You've got mail.
Yeah,
and that was the most exciting moment ever.
Yes. That movie. Try to watch that movie now, by the way. Oof.
Painful.
Just dated.
But I love Tom Hanks in anything he does.
The technology piece is just so dated.
Right.
You know, it's just interesting.
That sound.
Anyway, but yeah, so it's really cool to sort of watch that happen and sort of, you know, watch that explanation.
Yeah.
So he goes in there. He has to go plant a bug. The bug is the size of, you know, he says a mouse. It's this giant thing to download the information. Very, you know, high tech operation this time. When this is the first real tech the tech side we're seeing, the tech spying. We always see like the dead drops and the codes written on crumbled up pieces of paper and you know, and all that stuff. And this is that transition where we're getting out of this, you know, old school way of doing things and getting into maybe the new way that you spy, if you will.
I like it.
It was cool. So we saw that, and we get our first introduction to our guy Charles Duluth, who they don't really explain who Duluth is. We just kind of see him and meet him. I guess the assumption, or maybe I missed it, which is highly possible. But I guess the assumption is that he's I don't know if he is he's a guy who's sympathetic to the cause.
Yes.
But he's clearly not he's not KGB. He's not a spy.
He sounded British at first.
He's not any of those things, you know. No. But he is a drunk, that's for sure.
Yes. I will comment, and I don't know if anybody else noticed this, that his bottle of champagne was placed nicely in an ice bucket next to his bed.
Yes.
So at least he is a drunk that's responsible, puts his empty bottle right back into his ice bucket.
But there was the full, like, decanter, the thing of bourbon or whiskey that was, like, this much left when he walked in. That's the first thing Philip looked at. Was like, ugh, the whiskey.
Oh, I didn't even notice that. I was very busy looking at that champagne.
Yeah. He was, like, disgusted.
Right.
Flew open all the windows and, like, this is my guy?
Right. I like that he took then the ice and poured it on him.
Yeah.
To wake him up.
It's interesting because just to continue with that mission itself, it seemed, you know, the first part of, and he had good disguises this week, by the way.
Very good. His janitor disguise.
Janitor's disguise was like spot on. I mean, that felt like he felt like he was going to go play bass for the Doobie Brothers or something. I thought so too. He was like ready to go.
Or that he drives a white van.
Yes,
an unmarked van.
His nerd disguise or his reporter disguise before that was actually pretty good too.
Yes,
the crazy fro and the glasses. But to see this operation sort of unfold. I was wondering, I was waiting for Duluth to do something wrong. I'm like, he kept alluding to, don't drink, you're drunk, don't screw this up. And he seemed to be pretty good until he had to go back and get his glasses. And of course, he's nervous and he wrote on his hand. I don't know if that had anything to do with him being drunk, though, right? It was just kind of like
I think it was his first mission, and so he was sweating.
Right.
And maybe normally he would lean toward alcohol if he's nervous about something. So instead he sweat and had anxiety and all of that jazz. So,
but he did remember the right. Hopefully he remembered the right.
Yeah,
numbers.
We don't know that actually worked, do we?
No, I think the assumption is that it did. But unfortunately, but his intel was off because the lab was empty, which is like the lab was full, it was supposed to be empty, which was like, so thinking on his feet, Philip goes down there, trips the alarm, comes back up, does the deal, and that poor little scientist, I forgot my wallet. What's this over here? I'm dead.
Right.
That poor guy.
Poor guy. Wrong place at the wrong time.
So clearly that effed Philip up a little bit, because here's a full-blown civilian. Not, you can't really, some of this casualties of war,
right?
But you can't really say he's the American who's, trained. He's not Lyric. He's not a soldier. He's just a poor computer tech who forgot his little wallet.
Right. And like this kind of seemed very like a nonviolent operation, because it was just about the computers and internet and X's and O's.
Not only that, like he said, it
wasn't combat for any reason. So.
Well, it's like Philip said, like he doesn't understand what the F is going on, and I had to kill somebody. Like, ones and zeros. Well, he said X's and O's, but he's like X's and O's and space. I don't know, but I had to kill a guy over it. Like, what are we doing here? And that was kind of that was very interesting to see, because it's true. I mean, now we know that this is, proprietary, important stuff, and maybe Philip's a hero to the Russians, but in the meantime, he doesn't know what he did and why he killed someone. So that was sad. So we saw him in that scene at the bar, sort of, go through with Charles and just trying to, confide in him.
Which was odd, because we still don't really know who Charles is and why he would tell him all these things. He clearly knows him, which we, discussed while watching, because he went over there without any disguise on.
Right.
But to then, tell him the information about killing someone, he could have gotten away with it.
Yeah.
Where did he dispose of the body other than in that garbage can? I need to know the process.
And couldn't he have just did a move where you tap on one shoulder and he looks, and then you knock him out?
Right. He was in disguise anyway. Why kill the guy?
I don't know, but he.
What are your two hands for, if not to punch?
Yeah, right. I poor guy. Anyway, so but then he did that sad trick where Duluth had his cranberry and a splash of soda, whatever he said it was, and he dared him to drink it and called him out on it, and it turns out, of course, it was not. It was a vodka cranberry, and that's what it was. And so he's a drunk, which means he can't be trusted, which means I don't know what that's going to mean down the road, if this is the last we'll see of Duluth, if he'll come up again, if this means he has to die, who knows? But that was just an interesting, cool little thing. And also, much like the whole the Mossad episode, this has felt very much like a day in the life, sort of a day in the life of Philip. Like, this is my mundane spy work. This is what this is what I'm doing, and it sucks. Oh, and I killed a guy.
Right.
So I think this
all
is
in a day's work.
Definitely starting to wear on him.
I agree.
And he's very interested in that car. Like, he really wants to buy that cool American car.
Right.
So that's Philip. Let's backtrack a little bit to the most of the episode is obviously about our guy Oleg and Nina and Stan, but I want to touch a little bit about what would happen with Elizabeth, who wasn't in the episode that much, but
no, only when it pertained to Lyric and Lucia.
Yes. But two key scenes. I mean, so we saw her have that meeting with Lucia, which is basically, as we discussed before, it's essentially her mirror image, right?
Right.
It's a young her, and
Philip even calls her out on it.
Yes, finally, it's sounds like someone else I know.
Right, when she's like, I think she's running hot.
Yeah.
Do you?
Like,
kettle.
Really kettle?
And pot.
Says the pot.
Whoever comes first.
Pot. One of them. I don't know. I'm black. I'm black. But I know. But yeah, I want to ask you, because in that, like, when they have these interactions, I mean, Elizabeth is also super stone faced and very cold, but because she's Elizabeth. But I get the sense that she genuinely. There's some affection there for her.
Yeah.
But she can't show affection because she has to show strength, and this girl's life's on the line, and she's trying to train her. But today in the coffee shop, it's like, again, tell me about your dad. I am a robot. But it's like, it's that exchange about the fathers.
I think it's also that they don't have a lot of friends.
Yeah.
And also Leanne and Emmett were just killed, and they don't have people to talk to, and it's kind of like, this is our similarity, and what we have in common is that we have these parents, and then we became part of the revolution or whatever.
Yeah.
And not the revolution, but
their
cause.
War. Yes, cause.
So I do think she probably cares about her in that respect, where it's like camaraderie, but also she has to take care of her.
Yeah.
And somebody probably took care of Elizabeth, so she feels like,
or not,
this
or
is
maybe,
what I do.
Or maybe no one took care of Elizabeth. She had to take care of herself, and maybe this sort of ties into what I feel like is the softening of Elizabeth, this sort of like maternal instinct, this focus on family, which is what the show is focused on, which is what it seems to be the season's about, really about the recognition of the importance of family, right? So, I mean, you see it with Claudia and Elizabeth, and Claudia Elizabeth. You see, like, Claudia really seems to care. There's real loss, you know, when they lose Emmett and Leanne. There's some real, like, oh my God, those were like our kind of our family. These are our friends, and I know the kids, and so there's real loss there. There's real concern on Claudia's part for all concerned. The family's really in danger. It's the first time they have to look at it like, oh my God, what if something happened to these kids?
Right.
Like, what are we gonna do? So when in my opinion, when Elizabeth sees a young version of her, it's almost like, I want to take you under my wing. Like, I want to keep you safe. Like, just please do what I say, which is interesting. So we'll see how that plays out. I think that Lucia, I'll get to say their predictions.
Okay.
I'll say their predictions. So anyway, so they go back and they start they map out the mission. The mission was to go in and take out some camp leaders. Lyric was going to help them do that.
And she would go in as a Spanish teacher, right?
She would go in. Yeah, that's yeah, exactly. She'd go in with cover that Lyric provided, and then while they would sneak in and do the do. It was very interesting though, in that when they had that map discussion, the first thing she would know is, where's Lyric going to be? Because she's gonna go kill Eric.
Right. That makes sense now. That actually.
I know now. I'm like, why does she care? I'm like, oh yeah, because she wants to.
Right.
She's gonna get him. But so yeah, that was, so we saw that plan, and of course the best laid plans. There's a change in plans. Lyric changes the plans. We don't know. And Lyric's he's a cool spy character to me, because he's so shrouded in mystery and danger. You don't know if Lyric changed the plans himself because he felt like he was going to get whacked, if he wants to control things, if he really is going to Nicaragua. You have no idea of Lyric.
What did he say? He was going to like find a monarch of butterflies?
Yeah, what's there? Monarch butterflies. But he's going there to really start the whole Contra situation. But he also was very aware in this with his allies, his uneasy allies, that he probably Elizabeth's probably not alone, and I probably could be in danger. I probably if something happened,
right.
So that's why he's like, are you alone? I'm surprised you came alone. And he looked right up at where would be a perfect shot,
right, almost
looking right at Philip. So he kind of knew.
In the previews, she said he has a better shot or something like that.
Well, yeah. They said that. In the thing, this is like, who wants to do the meet, me or you? And she says to Philip, I'll do the meet because you're a better shot. Meaning Philip's going to go up there and take him out if he has to take him out, if he pulls any ish, which he didn't do.
Pretty cool stuff.
Very cool spy stuff. So no one had to kill anybody. Lyric walks, and that's fine. They save him for another day. But everyone seems to be fine with that except for Lucia,
who has her own mission.
She's very pissed about this whole thing. And it's also revealed that, like, it's this thing where, she's essentially trying to play Elizabeth. Like, oh yeah, it's fine. I got the mission. Oh yeah, no, I'll be over here. But the whole time she's like, I'm gonna kill him. So
no side missions are really approved in this scenario.
So. No. And
I'm sure Lucia will learn quickly, or she'll die.
Well, I mean, she was very much threatened by Elizabeth. She's like, I'm only gonna say this once. Like, I'm only gonna say this once. Do not. He's ours. Like, you're out. And so hopefully she'll listen. And we'll see what happens there. But all right, so. That happened, but let's get to the meat of this episode, which is the whole lie detector, the whole, Oleg. And who will be on the show, by the way? We're going to get Oleg on, especially since you thought he was cute.
We found out after I said that last week that Oleg is coming to the show.
Costa Ronen.
Yes.
Who's actually Russian. And
he's going to sit next to me.
Wonderful actor, yes. He's going to sit right there next to you.
I can't wait. Or I guess he'll be on the couch. He can sit next to me if he wants to.
Joe Flippo might be here, so who knows? Maybe he'll choose Joe Flippo. But yeah, he's wonderful acting job by him, and he's done a great job of playing this very ambiguous yet still like seductive and sexy in a weird kind of spy way.
He has the control right now. It's kind of hot.
Yeah, he's really doing. It's a really interesting performance there by our man.
Yeah.
Costa Ronen. I hope I'm saying that right. I'm probably not, but so hopefully he'll be on soon. Maybe even as soon as next week. If I'll give him a call. But so we have this triangle brewing and this whole thing where what seems to be like sort of an elaborate op as a mission on the Residentura's side, where we have Oleg going to Stan and saying, "Hey, Nina's in danger."
Right.
Now, last week I was unclear as to really what was going on, and you and Joe Flippo were like, "Dude, they're in on it.
Obviously.
Everyone's in on it." And I'm like, "I don't know. I love Nina." But no, I was.
Yeah.
I don't know. So
because that's what I was saying. I was like, wait, Nina's not in any danger.
Yeah.
On that end. So I think this just is a ploy to get Stan to have to
yes.
Succumb to them to protect Nina.
Exactly.
And
So this is a real.
they're playing Stan.
They're going after Stan.
Right.
And like you said, Nina still wants revenge for what's his name, the guy who they shot her.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Oleg's doing this thing, going to Stan, saying, "I'll keep Nina safe. I need every file they have on me," basically trying to turn him. The ultimate play will be, and Stan, who knows this, goes to Nina and says, "This is what's happening." Nina plays her role, but Stan says you have to take a polygraph. They then go back and have to figure out a way to beat this polygraph in this very extended scene, but which turned out to be the ultimate seduction of Nina by Oleg. In the how to beat the lie detector test. And I think that was although on some levels it was not action-packed and a little boring, but on a lot of levels it was very sort of a cool, nice, this tool for the seduction. And, your boy Arcady is nowhere to be found. He's out of there. So that's fine. So she does this thing and he gives her all these techniques, including clenching your anus.
Yep.
Which is a little known way to beat the lie detector. Kids, if you want to beat a lie detector test, be sure you do that. But yeah, and so it also gave her, the old wraparound. Let me put this monitor on around your
smooth.
It's gonna monitor your breathing.
Smooth, Oleg.
I remember those moves. Next time I'm trying to hit on a girl who wants a lie detector test.
Right. Well, that's like the golfing move. Like, let me show you how to do your swing or whatever.
So but it worked. Because Nina was,
I mean, after all was said and done, we see them in bed together in a hotel room. I was like, wait, hold on. We skipped a lot of steps, but we spent a lot of time talking about that lie detector and no time talking about how they ended up naked in a hotel room.
Well, it felt, we kind of saw this brewing, right? The whole
There's
time.
been chemistry
but
for some time.
We actually saw Nina really go from, exasperation and like, I don't need this. I mean, to sort of like vulnerability to I can't do this. And Oleg very masterfully, calmed her down and helped her through it. And, I mean, look, these are tough times. These are tough, stressful times out there in the Cold War. Sometimes you need, you don't know who your friends are.
True.
There's something about that's cool. I mean, Oleg is so cool to me. Like he's like my new favorite guy.
So we all have a crush on Oleg in some way,
he's like my
shape,
new
or form.
favorite guy because he's ever since the whole.
He's actually got his shit together. I think that's what it is. Like everybody else is like stumbling and like making mistakes.
But he's coming with that like real James Bond kind of
confidence.
like
He's
swag.
got swag.
Like right, he's coming with the whole like I'm an expert at counter surveillance.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna get caught. He knows technology. He's like the Arpanet. We need that. You're like this is important. I'm like, what's that? Trust me, we need it. Like he knows technology. He knows the music. He knows black music. He flipped it and was like Negro churches. Like I know everything, America. So and he's and he's seducing my girl Nina, who he knows. He read her file. He knows what she's done to Stan and how she's doing it. And then he used the move on that like it's very noble what you're doing for your country. Next thing you know, he's got her in the hotel suite.
Right.
Which I kind of knew it wasn't Stan for a second there, because I'm like, Stan's not a hotel's fancy suite kind of guy. So
he got her that weird.
Stan's got a weird
apartment.
safe house apartment with like bad art on the walls and
It looks like a cell.
Yeah, that's Stan. That's Stan sexy.
Right.
And he'll throw a little French lieutenant's woman to get her in the mood. Stan's game is not really poor Stan. But man, yeah, Oleg's got the hotel suite with the heated floors and
Smart
the jacuzzi.
Guy.
So yeah,
My kind of guy.
and I gotta say, Nina, there's a moment, and we'll get back to Stan and Nina, but I'm starting to feel really I was starting to feel really, really bad for Stan. I mean, Stan, which I am. I have this complete feeling of dread now that I know that Arcady and and Oleg and Nina are all in on this whole thing to basically flip Stan.
Right.
And Stan is going to be out there, who's in love with Nina, or he hasn't said it yet, who also is, made her take the lie detector test and had that the great relief and great smile. Now his guard's completely down. I just feel so bad when that hammer comes down on him. It's going to be really bad.
I don't know if I don't feel bad for him as a woman because he's cheated on his wife with Nina and sort of like deserves some kind of,
I know
something.
His universe is going to come crashing down.
He's also arrogant.
Yeah.
I think that gets in your way. I mean, it brings everybody down. You hang yourself essentially with your arrogance. But yeah, no, I don't feel bad for him.
Okay. Well,
he screwed Agent Gadd. I mean, homie's kind of
he killed Nina's boy.
He's gone off the rail, and he's gonna get what he deserves.
But then he's gonna go to that moment. He's gonna turn to his best friend and tell her, like, everyone's a spy in my life, Philip. Philip's gonna be like, oh, that sucks, buddy.
Yeah.
Sorry to hear
Starting with me.
Yeah, sorry to hear everyone you know is a spy, best friend. But no, I was really in that moment. I was starting to really not like Nina. I was like, me who's in love with her. I was like, no, like, Nina, you're just the way she just really turned the screws after she beat the lie detector test, and she just sort of ramped it up on Stan, like, I love you and da da da, which is what she's supposed to. It's her mission. But I was like, Nina, you're like. This is really, which in this whole world is so hard to know who you're rooting for again.
I mean, in any of these lines of work, who has the respectful job?
Yes.
Not one of them.
All right. No, it's true. It's true. It's
the only respectable person in this whole scenario is Paige, who's going to church group.
Right. Well, when you zoom out, like it's like, her. But I guess when you zoom in a little closer, you're like, oh, just root for the Americans. Those Russians are bad. And then you zoom, you're like, wait a minute. Actually, the Americans I'm rooting for are actually Russian spies. And then Stan, like, what am I doing? So,
very confusing.
Yeah, it's very confusing. So, but I will say back to Nina, and I'll just finish this whole Nina thing. When she got back with Arcady, with Oleg, and she pulled the whole move, we like tie me to the chair, blah blah blah. I was so back in, like I was back in on the Nina femme fatale, You know
what? That actually was when I sort of like was okay, Nina,
and
simmer down.
Mars Venus, I was like, I love you, Nina. You're
of
back.
Course, because all you heard was what she wanted to hear. But what I thought was, homegirl, stop selling yourself for sex, because this guy clearly wants you. For whatever reasons, like you can stop using sex as your main event for everything.
So do you think Oleg's like really into her? Or do you think Oleg's just doing another, like, I mean, obviously she's beautiful, she's Nina, but I mean, do you think he's sort of like, I don't know his full
We don't trust him yet, because who do we trust really? But I think he really likes Nina.
But if it comes down to it, do you think that he would like send her back to Russia? Like, here's the file, you broke the law. Whatever, like you stole, like he knows, he has all the dirt, on Nina now.
And I do think he actually does things
by the book.
Right.
Right.
But I don't know. I think he's like been after Nina for a while.
Yeah. He's definitely intrigued.
Where he found a way to be her protector, so now Stan's not. And I don't know. I think he really likes her.
Yeah, the cool thing they've done about this show too is they've found a way to really up the stakes on the Resident side to make those storylines. You populate it with people like Oleg and Nina, and sort of sexy spies on that end. It really raised the ante on the storytelling, because now you're completely invested in Elizabeth and Philip, but now I'm invested in what's going on in the Residentura as well. Now those are all, keep in mind, all Russian, but it's weird too, because the Residentura feels really Russian, and obviously Philip and Elizabeth feel a little more American, but they're Russian too. They're on the same side, which I always forget in the show.
I do too.
You forget that they're all on the same side, and the only one not on their side is Stan and Gadd. So that's interesting, because you're following three main sort of three main hubs: the Residentura, the FBI, and then the field, right? But two of the three are all Russians.
Right, they're on the same side. So, we did not see any of Martha tonight.
No Martha. No Chardonnay, box wine, or whatever she's drinking.
No, but we'll talk about her in news and gossip.
Yes, we'll hit her in news and gossip. But so that whole thing happened, and that was I like I said, we'll see. I don't know what their end game is with Stan. Why they want this stuff is to try to expose him. I don't know if it's just is it to take him down or to try to flip him. Stan doesn't seem flippable.
No, I don't think they want to flip him because really, why would they need him? Right. I think they want to.
I mean, they've already kind of flipped him. They're asking them to go and get information and work.
Not in the sense that he's brainwashed or like that he's like joining the mission, but I think that he's now just a pawn in their game. He's somebody they can use for information.
We'll see to what extent. You know how
he's essentially Nina, and Nina is him.
Right. The other interesting thing that happened in this episode is we've been asking a lot. Where's Henry? Where's Henry? You know,
you're very concerned about Henry.
Poor Henry.
Was he not on today's cast list? What happened?
So we got Paige's whole keeping secrets, but she's keeping secrets to join a church group and watch cute boys play guitar and read the Bible. But old Henry's like straight up spy game. Like he's got some. He's really. It's interesting to see how what these kids through either osmosis or genes learn from their parents.
Right.
Because Paige was very deceitful and doing her thing. Although it wasn't for anything horrible. It was actually for something sweet and good, depending on how you feel about.
I mean, listen, I think we're maybe giving these kids a little bit too much credit, or it is what they hope we see them as like little baby spies. But I did a lot of crazy things growing up too.
Well, no, I'm not saying that this is out of the ordinary, but it's interesting. The show, I think, is making a point about the parallels here.
Right. There's a lot of parallels.
And there's something to be said about as a parent when you try to do everything right for your kids and try your best, your hardest to keep your kids away from anything that you do that's all secret, and you look up and they're doing the same stuff. Like Paige is keeping secrets, jumping on buses, sneaking in basements. And today we see Henry doing a full-blown mission. He had the telescope pointed and he waited. Listen, I need to back up. Poor Henry really wanted that in television. He asked Philip for it in television. He really wanted it, and I know what that's like to really, really want it. I wanted the Atari 2600. I got that. The television I didn't really want. But he really wanted that. Philip said no, which happens. So the neighbor kid had it. He scoped out the house in his telescope. When they went for vacation, saw where they left the key, went down, got the key, broke in, and played some in television. That's a full-blown mission.
Yeah, that was
mission accomplished for Henry.
Well done, Henry.
Missile command, I think it was.
This was obviously before they had alarm systems.
Well, yeah, and
because you don't just go in someone's house now.
Sure, yeah, you don't. But he's in there and eating food and playing on television. A kid's dream. He loved that. So that was very interesting. So I don't know. I think that's it. It's all in the episode, huh?
That was it. It was a lot of talking.
Because we have the intranet. I'm sorry, what's it?
Arpanet.
Arpanet, Advanced Research Project Agency, the Arpanet. With the Arpanet work, we had that mission to completion. We had the Lyric thing go, south, and we will see what happens with that. And we had the lie detector situation. We'll see. We saw her beat that. And we had Henry breaking into the house.
That's about it.
That's really it. So we'll see where this goes. I've got some predictions here, but we'll get to those in a second. But before that, wow, short show, JTJ. I'd like to get to news and gossip.
AfterBuzz TV News.
So FX plans for The Americans to be picked up for a third season.
Yay, season 3.
Woo woo. Awesome. That covers that bit of information.
That's hot breaking news.
It is. Pete Townsend composes the original song for the FX drama The Americans. So that's that song that we've been hearing that's different this season.
Right.
Or no, wait, it starts airing April 30. But there is a different song this season already.
Is there?
From last season. I don't know. I might be making this up.
I don't know.
Maybe I just forgot what the other song was.
But Pete Townsend, guitar player for The Who, famed Pete Townsend.
Yep.
Got it.
I mean, I already love this show, and now to have cool music involved, I'm in. Okay, so now 7 things you didn't know about the cast of The Americans. Ready for this?
I'm ready.
I don't think you're ready for all this, Jelly.
Maybe.
All right, so Matthew Rhys.
Yes.
Who plays Philip.
He's from Wales.
He is Welsh. Great. Okay, we've covered that one. That was one. That was only one thing we didn't know.
Oh,
we've got 6 more.
I haven't read this. Okay, let's see if we can stop.
Patience. Carrie Russell.
Yes.
Prior to The Americans, was on the Mickey Mouse Club. This is not a guessing game that we're playing here. If you want it to be interactive, we can make it interactive. Okay, what else then?
Felicity, Mickey Mouse Club. I don't know. That's all I got. Mission Impossible 3.
Awesome. Honey, I Blew Up the Kids.
Oh, there's that.
Boy Meets World.
Of course.
And the Lifetime movie Babysitter's Seduction,
Yes.
where she was in a bathing suit, and that was all I have to say about that.
Freaking Lifetime movies.
Noah Emmerich, who
Yes.
is Stan, studied acting at Yale, where he was roommates with Josh Molina, who's also in Scandal, Sports Night, West Wing, that whole thing.
I didn't know that. I know he's a Yaley. I didn't know that.
Now
Okay,
you
good.
know.
Good,
The
good
more
for you,
you know.
Noah.
Susan Meisner, who is Sandra Beeman, was actually a professional dancer.
Oh,
Well, where'd you come from?
right there.
Whoops.
Still sitting there.
Anyway, before turning to acting, she was in the play Chicago. Oh, no, actually the movie Chicago, sorry. And she was great.
That's right. Who's she in Chicago? Was she one of the
Blonde
was she
dancer.
one of the
Keep up.
the Jailhouse Tango ladies?
Listen, you're asking too much.
Pop, Six, Cicero, Lipschitz. I know my Chicago girl. Don't get
Hold
with me.
on. Yeah, you do.
All right.
The
That's
more
good.
you
I
know
didn't
about
that.
our cast here. Joe knows about
Except
Chicago.
I didn't know which one she played. Okay.
Anyway, I'm sure there's time for us to figure that out. Allison Wright, who plays Martha, is actually in some trouble because the day after she was named a series regular on The Americans, she dropped her agency, which got her the job, I guess, who then in turn sued her for $1.5 million, assuming that she would make $15,000 an episode, which she clearly does, but that she would be on the show for 5 years.
Oh.
That's a lot of assumption, I would say.
Yeah, because God, that means, wow.
So Homegirl's going to be bankrupt by the time this show is over.
Because Martha's got to go. Martha might be dead by the end of season 2.
She's going to die for sure.
So she's not going to make it.
No.
And she's English as well.
Okay, well, that's not listed here.
All right.
So
That's a bonus one I'm throwing out there.
Thank you.
There you go.
What else do you have? Nina, your favorite.
Yes, I
Annette
did everything.
Mahandru.
Yes.
She is even cooler.
Tell me everything.
She's even cooler than Nina that she plays because
Yeah.
she knows 6 languages.
Oh.
She plays competitive chess.
Ooh.
She's a brown belt in karate.
She gets hotter and hotter. Go.
I know, could you die? She went to graduate school at NYU for a master's in global affairs, although she dropped out to join the Groundlings because,
What?
Obviously that makes sense. Duh.
Where?
I don't know why you have to drop out to join Groundlings. Groundlings isn't going anywhere.
Sounds better on the bio.
Whatever. I went to Second City, guys. Graduated from there. And she's funny, clearly, because she went to Groundlings. So
Right.
she can tell a great joke. Now, number 7, which is Richard Thomas, who plays Agent Gadd.
John Boy Walton.
Yes, he was on the Waltons.
Yes.
He also has,
Logan's Run. He's also on Logan's Run. Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
can a girl get a word in here?
Sorry.
Probably not. He actually has 50% hearing loss, wears tiny hearing aids, and is the national chairman of the Better Hearing Institute.
That I did not know.
Didn't think so.
I could be wrong about Logan's Run.
Well,
He's in one of those.
I told you some other information.
Those are hot facts.
Right?
JTJ. I love them all.
Me too. Makes me feel like we really know these guys.
Especially the Nina stuff.
I knew you were gonna go there.
Let's go to predictions.
Okay.
Let's go to predictions.
Maybe somebody else
Now,
has hearing loss.
Your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
Go. What do you have?
I mean, calm down. I predict that we're going to hear more about Claudia and this whole issue with the guy she revealed information to and that whole saga. And I feel like it's not going to happen next episode, but maybe in 2 or 3 when we've maybe forgotten about that storyline. And then they are like, bam.
Are they going to kill her off, do you
Drama.
think? Do you think they'll kill her off because she's on,
That other show?
Yeah,
Goldberg's?
the Millers.
Millers?
do you think they'll just kind of leave her around just in case?
I don't know. Well, didn't we find out she was going to be on a few of these episodes?
Yeah, she's signed for 3 or 5.
Well,
I don't
we've
know.
seen 2.
Yeah. She's
So-
seen it twice.
Just basic math would say we have a couple more with her.
All right.
And I'm going to guess there's going to be some shit hitting the fan.
The fan of stuff. I think that there's something to this whole Lucia storyline. I feel like there is something to Elizabeth's affection to her, right? So I feel like I feel like that she's gonna die. And it's gonna
Lucia
will definitely die. 'cause
Death
she's a
by
hothead.
what?
Death by her being a hothead lyric, probably. Think Lyric's gonna get her.
I feel like she's almost like a suicide bomber. Like she has a goal, doesn't care, knows she's gonna die.
Yeah. I feel like Lyric's gonna get her. I feel like she's not gonna make it, but I think that's gonna have a gigantic effect on Elizabeth. We see Philip already cracking.
Right.
And I think
that's
Elizabeth will
our
crack.
overarching prediction is the cracking of Elizabeth and Philip.
Yeah, both of them together.
I feel like it's like an opera, the cracking of Elizabeth and Philip.
And only Henry can bring them back. Mom and Dad, Spy Kids. All right. That's it. That's it for this week. I mean, I don't know. Joe Sanfilippo will be back. You can find him, Joe Sanfilippo, on Twitter at Joe Flippo, and on his website, josephsanfilippo.com. JTJ, where can we find you?
You can find me in a series of places. Twitter and Instagram, Jen the Jew.
Yep.
My website, JeniferGolden.com.
Yep.
Facebook, Jenifer Golden.
Boom.
Also, I'm one of Two Drunk Girls, so you can find me on twodrunkgirls.net.
Yep. That's a lot.
That's a lot of places.
I'm Joe Braswell. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Joe K. Braswell. You can find me here doing Mad Men starting next week. Also, Blacklist and Hannibal and
Blacklist is so good.
Bates Motel. Thank you. And thank you. Like I do the show. Thank you. Not when we wrote
it's
it.
mine, so.
And a bunch of other shows here at AfterBuzz. And that's it. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for watching if you're watching. And we'll see you next week.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.
Thank you for watching AfterBuzz TV on YouTube. For more of your favorite after shows and interviews, subscribe to our channel here, and be sure to share your opinion on the episode in the comment section below here. We'd love to see what you guys are buzzing about. Thanks again. Buzz you later.